from a place in my heart. I welcome you. I welcome you. I welcome you. I welcome you. From a place in my heart. I welcome you. I welcome you. I welcome you. I welcome you. From a place in my heart. We welcome you. From a place in our hearts. We welcome you. From a place in our hearts. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you. From a place in our hearts. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you. From a place in our hearts. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Esta lucecita tiene que brillar. Esta lucecita tiene que brillar. Esta lucecita tiene que brillar. Brillará, brillará, brillará.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And now Kathy Vermazen-Reddies a member of our board of directors, will give us a welcome. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. We are glad you're here on days when a lot of people are at Pride, and we're glad you're here on days when not a lot of people are at Pride. Kathy is a member of our board of directors, and she's got some announcements for us.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Radies. I'm a member of your board of directors, and I was completely distracted by getting to see people in person that I haven't seen in a while. So I apologize for strolling up a minute late here. But gosh, it's so good to see who is here, and I know that there are people out in the world as well who are here with us today. So I've got a few announcements. The next board meeting, Board of Trustees for the church, is going to be on June 28th. That's this Tuesday at 6:45 p.m. It'll be on Zoom, and everyone is welcome to attend. We always start with a 15-minute public comment period. You can also send comments to us by email. That address is board@uuoakland.org, and we'll read those aloud for you if you like. You can find Zoom details and a link to the agenda and meeting packet in this week's Chalice Chatter. Hope you'll join us. Let's see, number 2. The Women's Retreat is back at Redwood Glen Conference Center in Loma Mar, California, July 15th through 17th. The retreat is always full of fun and spirit. Anyone who identifies as a woman, girl, or non-binary is welcome to attend, as are boys under the age of 6. Emily was just adding something to my announcement for those who are online. There will be strong COVID protections. You can register at coffee hour today or on the church website anytime between now and June 30th. You can also contact us by email, womensretreat@uuoakland.org for more information. And number 3, want to encourage and grow relationships with one another? Start with a Sunday welcome. You're invited to greet, usher, or check vaccination status. The Community Connections team will show you how. For more info, email connectionsteam@uuoakland.org. Thanks all.
So we're going to light the peace candle. One day we must come to see that peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. We light the Black Lives Matter candle today as a witness that represents the unquestionable fire for justice for Black people that burns in our hearts and guides our action as a congregation. Together we say, Black Lives Matter. And we light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Even when there are no children in the room, we like to do this. May it remind us of the divine spark in all of creation, the power of love to heal what is broken and to be grateful for life's blessings each day. I think I'm in. Okay. Unitarian Universalist theologian Lila Ibrahim has condensed the Unitarian Universalist principles into 4 sentences. It's a blessing you were born. It matters what you do. What you know about God is a piece of the truth, and you don't have to do it alone. We start with the fact that it's a blessing that you are here, especially important on Pride Sunday. It's a blessing that every LGBTQ person was born. What if instead of being targeted by racism, homophobia, anti-Semitism, sexism, ableism, or any other oppression, everyone were treated as in a way that showed that they knew it's a blessing you are born? What if you could really feel what a blessing it is that you were born? We're going to start by soaking in the blessing. I'm going to do a call and response. And we're just going to stay on this so the slide can stay on the first 2 lines for a little while. We're going to soak in it. So we'll go, it's a blessing you were born. It's a blessing you were born. What a blessing you were born. What a blessing you were born. We're going to swirl around in that blessing. We're going to sing that 5 times. You'll get easier and easier with it. It's a blessing you were born. What a blessing you were born. It's a blessing you were born. What a blessing you were born. It's a blessing you were born. What a blessing you were born. It's a blessing you were born. What a blessing you were born. It's a blessing you were born. What a blessing you were born. After we've soaked in that, we can move on. Thanks, Vince. And it matters what you do.
And it matters what you do.
What you know about God is a piece of the truth. What you know about God is a piece of the truth. And next, and when life is a struggle, and when life's an adventure, you don't have to do it alone. And when life is a struggle, and when life's an adventure, you don't have to do it alone. Sure, it matters what we do and don't do in terms of climate change, but this is not about trying harder or that what we do matters more than who we are, because what you do flows naturally from who you are. Theologian Howard Thurman says, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive." Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. That doesn't mean it doesn't matter what the world needs. It means that the world needs so many interrelated things that the unique blessing you bring, your passions, the things that are keyed to make you come alive are just right. Your passions, your visions, your dreams all matter. Today, members of the congregation will speak about what they're doing related to climate change, the things they do that matter that make them come alive. And in one voice, the people say, "Come, let us worship together."
Will you please rise and join me in singing hymn 1017? The words will be up on the screen. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Heather just reminded me that I need to tell you I am not Patsy. Patsy is unfortunately unable to be with us this morning. Both her and her husband Gary have COVID. And she is asymptomatic, but Gary is coughing. So I am going to be giving her talk for her. Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Larson-Baville.
Hi, Sherry.
And today I'm going to talk from Patsy's perspective about her purchase of an electric car. I drove a large sedan that I purchased in 2001. It took only premium gas, but was a great ride and a car I really loved. Periodically, I would consider buying a new car, but was so overwhelmed by all the choices that I didn't even know where to start. So I would just make the needed repairs and kept driving my aging car. About 18 months ago, PG&E offered grants for condo complexes in Oakland to install electric plugs at each parking space. I live in the Market Square complex in downtown Oakland, and we applied for the grant and we won. PG&E then installed electrical charging systems at each parking spot in our garage last spring. When the system was in place, I started contemplating the purchase of an electric car, but was still not ready to take the plunge. I noticed neighbors who had started buying electric cars. One of my neighbors let me test drive his Tesla. I was really impressed by the smooth ride, but a bit put off by all the electronic devices. So I continued to drive my beloved gas guzzler as gas prices rose. I found it was costing me $75 or $280 to put gas in my car every 2 weeks, which was frustrating, yet I was still not prepared to purchase an electric car. All this changed one day as I was watching an interview with Bill McKibben on Amadpour and Company, a PBS news show. It was just a week into Putin's invasion of Ukraine. McKibben was saying how we should view this war as a turning point and put all of our possible resources into sustainable energy, especially to help Europe not be beholden to Putin for gas as their main energy supply. The interview then said, "Yes, but what are you going to do about all these gas-driven cars on the road?" At that point, McKibben faced squarely into the camera and said these fateful words, "I drive an electric car, and while I know these cars can be more expensive, everyone who can afford an electric car needs to buy one now." I felt like he was talking to me. I realized in that moment that I had to buy an electric car. As soon as the show was over, I reached for my consumer reports and looked at the ratings of all the electric cars. The number one rated electric car was a Kia Niro EV. I got on the phone and started calling Kia dealers. The dealer in Richmond had one, so I drove out there to test drive it, only to find that they had just sold it. Undaunted, I drove back to Oakland to the Kia dealership and asked about the Kia Niro EV. The dealer mentioned they had 6 coming in 2 weeks, but they were going fast. I put down my deposit on one of them and waited. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, he called and told me my car had arrived. I went down, test drove it, and liked it a lot, and bought it. Well, there was no negotiating from the market price, and the Niro was eligible for a number of rebates, a $7,500 rebate from the feds and $2,000 rebate from the state of California. When I considered the rebates, that car cost me what I would have likely spent to buy a gas-driven car. I have to say, I love my electric car. It literally hums as it drives, and so far it's been saving me lots of money. I added up all the charging costs I have had since I purchased it on March 29th. 4 times I have charged it for a total of $58. It amazes me that I get so much mileage out of one charge. Thank you, Bill McKibben, for inspiring me. I will end with my favorite Bill McKibben quote. "Climate change is the single biggest thing that humans have ever done on the planet. The one thing that needs to be bigger is our movement to stop it."
Sorry, Patsy told us this morning she had COVID, so we're kind of shuffling her words.
Okay, embracing meditation. This is a time when we speak the names of those we are holding in our hearts, in sorrow or in joy. We invite you to speak their names aloud, or you can hold them in the sanctuary of your heart. Or if you are on Zoom, you can put them in the chat. In a moment, I will ring the gong so you can share.
Sorry, those were the other words, my bad.
Uh-oh, you're bad, not mine.
No, my bad, not yours. I printed out everything Patsy was going to say, but I don't see that one. This is the time that we get up and say hi to each other. Go for it.
So we can go down to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Please join me in singing hymn 21 for the beauty
Okay,
of the
this we're
earth.
done with.
The words will be up on the screen, and I invite you to stand if you wish. Here we go. Let's get our words up there. Thank you so much. Here we go. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. Even if you don't know it, take a risk. Sing along. For the wonder of each hour of the day
Okay, now it's my turn. A few weeks ago, Heather asked me to be one of the speakers for today's service. At first, I said yes, but upon reflection, I decided to ask her to meet with me. I told her that I was not currently politically involved in the climate issue. She laughed. She reminded me that sending letters and postcards to voters in an effort to elect candidates who are working to prevent climate catastrophe was part of coming alive for the climate. I laughed and agreed. Later, I reflected on an issue I had been working on since 1982, the abolition of nuclear weapons, the ultimate climate destroyer. When COVID struck in early 2020, the church temporarily closed its doors. About the same time, I began organizing volunteers to write postcards supporting pro-climate candidates such as John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock in Georgia and Mark Kelly in Arizona, and encouraging people to register to vote. Over half of the 30-plus volunteers were church members who would come by my house in North Oakland. It kind of makes me cry a little, sorry. Stamps, scripts, and a list of potential voters. A big shout out to Emily, Corliss, Helen, Gary and Jane, Heather, Patsy, Linda and Clark, Evelyn, Sarah, Jody, Tom and Nancy, Kate, Janet, Marilyn, Carol, Joe, and Brett and Nancy. Yay. I really enjoyed connecting with my community during this time. Last year, I moved back to my home in San Leandro. I no longer organize volunteers, although I encourage people to send postcards and letters for current campaigns through organizations such as Indivisible, Move On, and Activate America. It is easy and personally rewarding.
Hi there, my name is Zoe Jonick. You might remember me from my younger years at UU, or you might know my mom, Kelly Jonick. But for the last year or so, I've been working in the environmental field, both as an AmeriCorps fellow and as a volunteer. I'm part of 350 Bay Area's youth mobilizing team, and I'll soon be starting as a full-time organizer with them for their People vs. Fossil Fuels campaign. In my time with the group, we've led and helped plan a variety of actions, including COP26 March back in November and the People's Earth Day March and rally in San Francisco this year. In our day and age, it's really easy to feel insignificant in the face of climate change. As a young person for whom the climate crisis has loomed over the majority of my conscious life, I've definitely felt this. This is especially the case when you hear facts like how only 100 companies are responsible for about 70% of the Earth's greenhouse gas emissions. But it's important to remember that there are two kinds of power. There's power from the top and power from the ground up. The powers at the top benefit when people like us get apathetic or nihilistic. When we can't bring ourselves to care, we allow those powers to go unchecked. However, when you care, not only about the Earth and the climate, but also about each other, the people down here with us who will be facing the worst effects of as the climate crisis plays out, this is where you find power from the ground. Our greatest strengths will always be found in the community and the relationships we build. A protest of one can be meaningful, but when the group bands together to refuse to accept business as usual, that's where the real impact happens. At these actions that we plan and attend, different groups, often with different bases and different core missions, come together and make a stand. From Youth vs. Apocalypse, which mobilizes kids as young as elementary school, to 1,000 Grandmothers, When one group shows up, a whole coalition shows up. We have a fundamental common commitment, which is to advocate against environmental injustice and to advocate for a future for ourselves and for our community. Organizing and activism can look like a bunch of different things. You might find yourself speaking out with your dollars, reallocating funds to the groups that really need them, or retracting them from damaging companies. You can speak out directly to your political representatives or at public commentary or hearings, things like that. You can also sign petitions, forward posts, digital actions. But if you also want to feel the energy of a ton of people who share your anger and your fears and your ever-persistent hope, you are welcome to join us in the streets sometime. Your presence is your power, and your perseverance can be shouldered on the backs of all of us down here, building from the ground up. Thank you.
Something Zoe didn't mention is that August 5th, there will be a big mobilization in Sacramento, a big youth mobilization, but they'll need those of us who are not youth to come too. I think it's a Friday. Let's just take a minute and breathe in what we've heard. And please stand for the next hymn.
I invite you to stand. I hope that you will join in singing the next hymn. This is an easy one. It repeats the refrain several times, and it's got the same chorus. So again, listen to the folks around you and have some fun.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
You got it.
Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Lovely. Please have a seat.
Before we do the embracing meditation, I have a little addendum. I realized, I think, afterwards that I neglected to say a few more people from this congregation who participated in the postcard writing. And I had written them off on the side, I may be wrong, I may have said them, I forget things. The other people that participated were Evelyn, Sarah, and Linda and Clark. More. Okay, so now is the time when we speak the names of those who we are holding in our hearts, in sorrow or in joy. We invite you to speak their names aloud, or you can hold them in the sanctuary of your heart, or if you are on Zoom, you can put them in the cart. In a moment, I will ring the gong so you can share. Gary and Patsy. We are thinking of these names and these lives and the precious humans that they are.
Let us say together, we hold them in our care. Those of you on Zoom can put that in the chat or say it. We hold them in our care. Forces of the universe, power greater than ourselves, we give thanks for our breath, for the way the very air around us sustains us effortlessly, minute by minute, bringing oxygen to feed our cells and calm us. Let us remember to breathe. Let us remember that this moment in the present is the moment that we are alive. And look around. We are not alone. Help us in these challenging times, in this week where we celebrate the existence of our gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, binary, genderqueer, and gender nonconforming and questioning siblings. We are also buffeted by winds of repression that limit women's right to control our bodies and our safety. We see decisions from the Supreme Court that create less safety for all of us. Help us remember to stay grounded in these times, to not be overwhelmed by the enormity of the tasks ahead of us. Help us remember that it does matter what we do. Every little thing we do matters, and we are not doing it alone. Help us remember Sherry's list. Help us remember that it's all connected, that the postcards I was writing yesterday to unseat a senator who votes against clean air will also unseat a senator who votes against women's bodies. And help us remember that still in all, it's a blessing that you were born, it's a blessing that we were born, and it's a blessing that each of us was born. Amen, blessed be, Ashe. So, let me see if I can get page 1 first here. That's the remember to breathe part, right? Oh yeah, I was doing that cool thing of saving pages, maybe, I don't know. So about 10 years ago, I read an article in the Unitarian Universalist World about a guy who had stopped flying. And I remember thinking, well, that's virtuous of him, but I'm not going to do that. First of all, it doesn't really make any difference. He's one of a skillion people who are all still flying. Second of all, airlines aren't the largest emitters. So that's not something I'm going to do. I want to work on something big, like cutting my other transportation emissions and getting an electric car. Well, I did that. So fast forward. I did that, and then I heard that the Oakland airport is going to be expanding by 17 gates. Well, the way I've started thinking about climate change is this. For the longest I've heard, by 2030 we need to do this, or 2035, and I don't know about you, but for me those are just big numbers. But if you tell me that 7.5 years we need to cut our emissions by half, in 7.5 years, I can process that. I know half, I know 7.5 years. So if we want to avoid the most deadly effects of climate change, we have about 7 years to cut our emissions in half. Obviously, adding 17 gates to the airport won't help us cut emissions in half. Simply the emissions from the concrete used will be massive, even if nobody ever flew out of those gates. They've already started cutting down trees on the edge of the airport for the expansion. But the thing that called to me here was that this is a structural issue and a personal issue, right? It's not easy because we often fly to see the people we love the most. Well, it turns out, I thought that airplanes were a small amount of the world's total emissions, and they may be, but in the Bay Area, airplanes are 11% of our collective carbon footprint. We have 3 large airports, and we are the frequent flyers of the world. Okay, I'm not peeking, right? 54116823. That is my Southwest frequent flyer number. I have it memorized. So I'm talking about myself here. I'm not just talking about other people. It is so comfortable to blame the 1%, but when it comes to flight emissions, many of us are the 1%, or at least the 10%. And a single passenger's flight emissions are more than many people around the world emit in a whole year. That's uncomfortable, right? It's so uncomfortable that airlines are starting to make plans with the refineries to use biofuels, which unfortunately don't really solve the problem, but it makes them look better. Biofuels have all the emissions that come with agriculture, and they use up cropland needed to feed people. We need to cut our emissions. But there is good news, which is that because we are some of the biggest polluters, we can make the most difference. We can cut our personal emissions in half. My cousin has started flying one direction and taking the train back. I've figured out how to get in my electric car to Los Angeles pretty easily. You just stop in Fresno and Bakersfield. And San Diego with a little bit more of a stretch. We can buy electric cars, those of us who can, and those of us who can't do that, there's a great program. We're going to have a forum sometime about different ways of getting electric cars, and a couple people in this congregation have used a program where you can get $10,000 toward an electric car if you're low income. The other good news is that you don't have to give up flying to oppose the Oakland Airport expansion. You can sign up on their website to be notified of the public comments period in the fall. You can put their petition on the Facebook page or come to a demonstration in September. There are so many different ways we can cut our emissions in half by 2030. And the fact is, many of us have taken many actions, so many that we forget about them. Like if I were to say to you right now, so what have you done for the climate? You might kind of blank. And ushers If you would grab those green leaves and start passing people 3 or 4 or 5 of them if they don't have them, great. We have done a whole lot in this congregation over the last 5, 10, 15 years, but we forget that. And I think that's a problem in terms of recognizing our significance and that what we're doing is significant. So we're going to make a tree, a visual reminder. And if you're great at art, come see me afterwards. We're going to make a tree with the leaves that show all of the things you have done. We have taken actions with products we buy, solar panels, electric vehicles, induction stovetops, heat pumps. We've done actions in what we don't do. There are people who don't drive, don't consume. Some of the actions we take are at our jobs, making suggestions for recycling or energy saving. And we take the seemingly small but crucial actions of democracy, sending a letter to a representative or a company, writing postcards, phoning, canvassing, helping get a bill passed, contacting the Public Utilities Commission to tell them to encouraging policies that promote solar panels, driving friends to vote, donating money to climate-friendly candidates and causes, inviting a friend to a demonstration. I'm hoping that as I'm saying this, your brain kind of went, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that too. Did that work? Did anyone show me if you have a ping? Put up a little ping if you had a ping. Cool. If you are on Zoom, you can write these on chat, and Ron Weisberg and Judith Hunt will copy the chat, and I'll transfer them to the green leaves. So we invite you to take those leaves and just take 1 or 2 minutes, and on each leaf, write some of the things you've done. If you could be a consultant to help other people on that, put your name on the back. And maybe there are new actions that you're contemplating or just beginning. Mention those, that I'm thinking of doing this, but I don't know how. And put your name on the back of those if you're hoping to connect with other people who might be able to give you a hand with that. So Susan will play some beautiful music while we breathe and remember all that we've done and what a difference it's made collectively, how it adds up, and dream of what we hope to do. Thank you. Hang on to those. And later in the service, when we pass the basket, you can put them in. And Tom is going to talk about what we have done as a congregation in our building.
Hi, I'm Tom Smith. I'm a climate activist, and so are you. Back in 2012, I joined the local Clean Energy Alliance, a group in Oakland, and 350 Bay Area, a very active group. These are two nonprofit leaders with climate experience. They introduced me to the many technical and political details about greenhouse gas reduction. Because the city goals determine our church goals, I started tracking the church PG&E bills. I studied Ben Thompson's energy audit of 2010, yes, 12 years ago, which had itemized a large number of action items to reduce our utility bill. Ben, Bill Blakely, and Stefan had started implementing some actions when I began my study. They had, for example, cleaned the furnace filters, balanced hot air ducts, programmed copy machines and computers to automatically go to sleep mode, removed all electrical space heaters. Continuing on, we replaced the lights with LED lights. We added occupancy sensors to various rooms. We installed an Energy Star refrigerator. I kept track of our energy consumption and the cost. Here are some exciting results. We had a 30% drop in kilowatt hours consumed. That's a big drop. But during that time period, PG&E raised electrical rates by 48%. The net result, however, is that we've had no net increase in utility bills. We still spend about $8,000 a year in electric and $3,000 a year in gas. If we had not improved our efficiency, the PG&E bill would be over $4,000 a year higher. The bad news is PG&E is fighting very hard to increase our rates even more. Since that study, we have joined East Bay Community Energy, a nonprofit electric energy provider. And Stefan has replaced the kitchen range, the gas range, with an electric model. So I expect we are still improving our efficiency. In the next few years, we will eliminate the 7 gas furnaces and the gas water heater. The Board of Trustees has asked the Earth Justice Advocates to draft a cost-benefit analysis and a plan for removing the gas appliances and with electric heat pumps. I will also continue to evaluate solar roof and battery storage. This is my favorite topic. I am quite excited to see the church become a zero-carbon facility, a reliable energy source during grid downtimes, a model for Oakland buildings, and an energy sanctuary in times of disaster. So get active, talk to me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the applause, because that's the invisible work, right? We don't see that, but they work hard to do it. Thank you. Actually, I got excited about this part and we did it already. That was your green leaves.
Well, it really matters what you do. and I believe that each of you can do something to make a difference, and so did Margaret Mead. The gifts of time, talent, and money made the postcard campaign so rewarding and successful. I love that our congregation steps up when the need is there. Would the ushers please come forward?
We're going to read some of these leaves so we get a sense of how we add up together, because we seriously add up together. Walk to church. Amtrak and bus to Yosemite.
Almost all electric in our new house. The second car in the family is an EV, electric vehicle.
Militant recycler. Recycling and composting at home.
Separate trash for recycling. Climate agitator before becoming blind.
Eat less meat, don't drink milk.
Great, thank you. So we'll put those up somewhere in the building on a tree. So let's see, let's share in the congregational commitment to the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community. We dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings. And then for the benediction, before we sing, we are going to join hands for the benediction. That's what we used to do way back in the day. I don't know if we do elbows or what, but let's just at least get a little closer in, right? You figure out what works for you, if you're comfortable with hands or elbows or a shoulder, however it works for you. And we leave this gathered community, but our connection endures. Our concerns, our care for each other, the way we inspire each other, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, hold each other in our minds, be strong, be well, be true, be loving. And we'll go out to this little light of mine. You probably know it.